Okay, guys, welcome to ALG 104, Buyer Success. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get rolling. Maybe I'm going to share my screen. What's going on with this? There it is. Okay, ALG 104, Buyer Success. Let's go ahead and this is going to conclude this particular series. I believe this is the last one in the ALG series, and we'll be moving on next week. So, where do you want to be? Your opportunity, streamline and simplify. So 3 weeks, 10 weeks, 1 to 10 days, 30 to 49 days. This is very much like I taught you in the very beginning about kind of remember I talked about the automobile plant, from the day you start putting raw materials across. It's just a little different way of looking at it. So figure 3 weeks, somebody's doing an online home search and going through the pre-approval and agent selection. 10 weeks, they work with an agent to find a home. Again, if you learn to do the silver penny, which we taught in the other course, you can dramatically reduce that. But statistically, that's the average in the real estate industry right now. From the time you make an offer and having accepted, it's between 1 and 10 days. 10 days is really dragging their feet. I don't think I've ever seen a negotiation go that long. I think probably the longest I've ever seen is maybe 4 to 5 days. Contract to close is anywhere from 30 days to 49 days. And that just depends on many things. The length of time it takes for the mortgage company. There could be a survey issue. There could be inspection things that have to get cleaned up. So any of those things, but in general, it's between 30 and 49 days.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
How do you know what to put for the closing?
What an absolutely fantastic question. The best thing that I do before I write a contract is I call the mortgage company. How long do you need? Now, mortgage people can be, Cheryl, I love you. She's not here. Good. She's not one of them. But they can be salespeople too. I can close any loan in 21 days. Well, if you take them at face value and put a closing 21 days from now, they may not. And now you're in a whole situation because the seller could walk away. So normally I call them and say, listen, today is January 20, whatever. Can we close February 24th? Now, again, I'm not looking at what day of the week that is, and we're going to talk about that in a second too. Is that acceptable amount of time? Yes, I should be able to have all my documents done by the 21st. Okay, because or the 20th or whatever. I'm going to put 10 days ahead of time that they need to have the mortgage commitment. Will that work? Yes. Now you go to your clients because you know that they need till, let's just say February 24th. Say to your clients, is it okay that we close on February 24th? No, I've got a dentist appointment that day. Can we do the 25th? Of course you can, because you know with the mortgage company. But the right answer is to always check with the finance person, with the mortgage person, because they're going to know how long it's going to take, and they should know with the individual client, yeah, I'm dealing with somebody with a 580 credit score, right? I might need another week. No, these guys have an 800 credit score. I could close them in 3 days, whatever. It wouldn't be 3 days, but you know what I mean? Right. Very quickly. Another tip. My good friend Todd taught me this when I came to Florida. I'd never done this. I always schedule my closings on Fridays. Right? Friday's payday. Okay. So let's say that you schedule your clients for Friday, 9 a.m. Friday. So they show up at we'll say we're at the title company. Why not? Wherever you are, you show up in their U-Haul, following with another car, with all their possessions. Kids are outside with the dog. And you go in, and something happens. And the bank says, yeah, the money isn't transferred today. Something happened with the wire. When's the next time they could possibly close?
Monday.
Monday. Where are they spending the weekend with their U-Haul that they're paying daily for and whatever else? Doing a closing on any other day but a day before a bank being closed, anytime that's happened, it gets resolved the next day. So do your closings on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, sometime in the middle of the week. So that if God forbid that happens, it's one bad night, not three.
Right.
Spotlighting your business. Do you feel your business can benefit from streamlining and simplifying your working process with buyers to maximize the number of buyers you work with? Hopefully, after the last class, for those of you who were Step Ahead Bootcamp, you now say, yes, I'm putting together a streamlining process. For some of you that maybe have never taken that course or have never done it, buyers might be sucking so much time out of you that you can only work with one, maybe two at a time. And it's cutting into what your real job is, which is what? Finding listings. So where you want to be, you want to make this quick. Now, again, I teach a 6-step process. This is a 5-step that Century 21 teaches. But you have the pre-consultation, which has that 6-step process that we teach, right? You have the buyer consultation. It's all, I do those together. Find and show homes, contract to close, and client for life. So again, this is kind of the next step from where we were. How long do you spend pre-qualifying buyer leads? The right answer is having that meeting that we just talked about in Working for Buyers for Success 102. Sitting down for a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe even an hour. If you don't do those things, and again, you could just send a dot loop file, if they allow. You could send a dot loop file, have them sign a buyer's agreement, and just meet them at the house. You know, the old the old tail wagging the dog story I tell you about, the Zillow story. Found you on Zillow, this, that, whatever. Okay, I just need you to sign this and I'll meet you at the house. You don't even have their full name other than you have it on that sheet. You don't know anything about them, whatever else. Take the time to do that meeting that we just taught you to do. Another question for you. How impactful are you at pre-qualifying buyer leads? A lot of people slough it off. I want you to go in depth and find out what it is they're looking for. Show them this is what's here. This isn't what's there. Create that urgency we talked about. In the end, you want to gather information. And what's the biggest thing you're trying to find out? What they're committed to. Level of commitment. Are they an A buyer, B buyer, C buyer? Am I going to handle them? C buyer. No, I'm going to send them out. I'm going to send them to somebody in my office that doesn't care and just wants to work with buyers. Unfortunately, every office has those guys. Well, it's probably not unfortunate. It's great because, you know, whatever, works for everybody. Again, finding out what they're committed to. What do we want to know? What's their motivation? When do they want to move? You know, how excited? Do they have to move? Their ability. Now, it's not our job to decide their ability, but you know what it is our job to do? Has anybody ever had a client say, you know, he said, have you been pre-qualified? No, I just want to go see the house first, then I'll do that. Anybody ever done it? You guys are new.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know we are.
I gotta be careful, but because he's a friend of mine, but I had a friend. There we go. I had a friend. Oh, I'm clearing something up with my house that I'm selling in New Jersey. So I just need to wait a couple weeks. And they promised me, you know, whatever, and then I can get that pre-qualification. Okay. But can we see houses? And again, this was during the time when houses were going up in price by like $25,000, $50,000 overnight, like within a couple of months. And inventory was horrible. I showed this guy house after house after house. He finds one, we get it under contract. He couldn't get pre-approved.
Of course.
Yeah.
I waste all the time, but it was a guy I knew, you know, and whatever. So I should never have done it. But as I always tell you guys, there's those who can, and there's those who teach. I teach. I teach it, but I didn't do it. And I wasted, you know, probably 3-4 days. And I was living in St. Petersburg. He was down in Riverview. So every time it was an hour around each way. I did. I did. I did. And I want you guys to learn from that. So the ability part, never, ever, ever, and really it's against our code of ethics to show a house without having proof of funds. And people don't want to do it. I just, again, I was just with Rosemary, she's dealing with a buyer now. And it was the same thing. How do you show proof of funds? Now, unfortunately, she's selling the house and is going to use cash, but you got to have something that's going to prove that.
Yeah.
Experience. Are they a first-time home buyer? Are they a flipper and they've sold 20 properties? Or are they somewhere in between? Most people you're going to deal with are going to be 1, 2, or 3 on houses. Property intel. What is it that they want? What are their hot buttons? You ask somebody, well, we want at least 3 bedrooms, absolutely 2 baths, and to be in Brandon. You might get lucky and they give you a neighborhood name. What did that really tell me? Not much. So you got to ask questions. Is outdoor space important to you? Do you want a lanai in Florida? That's a big one. Do you want a pool? More and more people I don't understand this at all. I would never live in Florida without a pool. That's beyond me. But more and more people are coming down here that don't want to be bothered with it. My association has one. I'm fine with it. Find those things out.
Yeah.
If somebody, I was my own realtor, obviously, but if I wasn't, somebody could have really screwed up and wasted time trying to take me to any house that didn't have a big lanai. Because I said flat out, I wanted a lanai that I could have a couple TVs up. I could create I have an L
Outdoor kitchen.
bar.
Are you talking about the outside?
Yeah. I've got a wraparound couch. I'd have room for that with a fire pit. And then I've got a spot for my parrot and an outdoor kitchen all behind me. Have I not had room for any of those things? And I looked at houses, even as my own realtor, that when you got there, it was deceiving, right?
Yeah.
But if I was using another realtor, they'd need to know those things about me, or they'd just be completely wasting their time. And the worst part is most realtors, when they go do that, don't even realize that they're wasted. Yeah, I had a good day of showings. I think we made some progress. No, you didn't. You showed them a bunch of crap they didn't want. Come on.
The buyer's questionnaire.
Yep. These are things, if you want to take pictures of this, so you have it on your phone, we could do that, or I could have other, get these to you, because I always find with these that these questions that they pop together, and I got these from this particular, a bunch of the slides on here are from Century 21 because they're really good slides. But I find that we can read these right now. You're never going to remember them when you need them. So I always recommend to people, just take a picture of these and print them, with your phone or whatever. Because when you're asked that question, you can keep this right there by your desk and know how to answer. So again, it tells you what to ask, what you're trying to learn, and how you would respond. Yeah. Yep. I recommend it. And like I say, I recommend printing it, putting in your stuff. And when you're talking to somebody like this, getting whatever, have these out. You'll get to the point where you have the ones that you find important memorized. You don't need to answer all of these questions, ask all these questions, just the ones that you need to know about the particular client that you have.
This is for buyer, right?
Yep. Okay. One more if you want them. These are pretty simple though. Have you been pre-qualified or pre-approved? Is it just you making the decision, right? Again, these aren't necessarily ones you need to pick pictures of. You should know these. Do you have a signed agreement with any other agents? Are you working with anyone else?
Right.
Okay. You want to gather information. Is this the first home you've purchased? You want to see what kind of experience they have. What do you like least or most about the experience you have with any other agent? I'd like asking that, by the way, too, when you're dealing with sellers, especially we were talking about expired listings before you guys got here. If you're talking about expired listings, that's a great question. They're going to say the guy never called me back. The guy never followed up with me. I always had to reach out to him. Well, now what do you know? I'm going to be on the phone with this guy every Friday, good, bad, and different,
Right.
because he's not, and he's going to be happy with me. Even if things don't go right away the way we want, he's going to be happy with me because you're a communicator.
Right.
Do you know where you want to move? What price range? Again, these aren't rocket science questions, but these are all questions that you should be finding out. Can you tell me about the size and style of home you're looking for? Follow-up questions on that one. Again, what would I have told you? If I was your client, I would have told you this. I need at least 3 bedrooms. I prefer 4. I need a pool and a lanai. And again, my friends were making fun of me yesterday. They're like, I don't think Bill ever goes in his house except to sleep. It's probably true. I don't go in my house except to sleep. I shower too.
You got the outdoor kitchen.
Yeah, I shower.
you got the-
Although I don't even need to shower because I just jump in the pool, you get a chlorine bath,
Yeah.
yeah. No, seriously, I cook outside.
Yeah.
I don't go, I was, one of you guys I was complaining to, was it one of you guys here, was somebody was here earlier? That I was mad because I had to go inside around 6:30, 7 o'clock, because it was too darn cold last night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, that's my room. That lanai was the room I wanted, and it's the room,
That's why you moved to Florida.
that's why I moved to Florida. I don't want to be inside. I don't want to be inside. So just asking the question, and just listening to the basic thing, I want to pull in a lanai. Well, I saw many houses that had lanais that were maybe the size of this little room here. Fine for most people. They just want a little place to have 2 seats and whatever.
Yeah.
Wasn't what I was looking for. I wanted, that's my family room.
Right.
Yeah. You can invite more people over.
I don't like it. I dig it.
Set expectations. I look forward to meeting you. This is what we're going to go over. Remember, we talked about the 6-step buying process for you guys that took Step Ahead boot camp, and you now know what the 6-step buying process is. Explain it ahead of time. Get them excited about it. Show them that you have a plan. You have a game plan. That is one of the biggest things. Most realtors go in like just aimlessly trying to get a client. No, I'm coming in with a plan that's going to help you accomplish what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And when you go in with that, and now that person feels like, okay, I can trust this person. I can have confidence in this person. This person's going to get me what I want. Okay. Always confirm the appointment. Power of choice close, guys. Never, ever, ever ask something they could say no to. Hey, can we do 2 o'clock tomorrow? No, I have a dentist appointment. And they can make up anything. What's better for you, Tuesday or Thursday? Tuesday. What's better for you, 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. or morning or afternoon? Always use power of choice in every question that you ask. Are there other decision makers? Of course, that's even more important with sellers than buyers, because the sellers, you have to have their stuff. Hey, are you buying this alone? How do you like to be contacted?
I like the last one.
How do you like to be contacted? At your age, you're probably a texter.
Text, yeah.
I'm a texter at my age. Most people, if I don't know them, and if they're nice enough to whatever, I'll tell them to text me. Don't call me.
Yeah.
Text me. It's easy.
Yeah.
Because right now I got 3 calls since I've been sitting and teaching these classes. I can't take those classes, but none of them did. If somebody texted me, I could text quick between slides, right? How often do you do a buyer consultation? Again, for those of you that have taken Step Ahead Boot Camp, and again, we actually taught this class today, from now on, you always need to. With the new laws, for people that are out here taking this class that maybe haven't taken that, and I would recommend you go back and take that class. It's a Working with Buyer Success series. You have to have some type of a buyer. I shouldn't say have to. You could just dot loop them or sky slope or whatever DigiSign thing you do. Have them sign, or you could show up at the house with one printed and make them sign it on the hood of your car before you go in. But you are really giving up an opportunity to cement your client and find out what they want, streamline the process, all the great things we've been talking about, by just having them sign it quick and running in and showing them the house. why do it? We have the excuse now for everybody. So I don't want to do that at that time. I'm sorry, but since the lawsuit, we're required to do that. It's a $5,000 fine. Do you want to write me a check? Do you want to write me a check for $5,000 just in case we get caught? Whatever.
They're definitely saying for 5,000.
Why do buyer consultations matter? Help me find the right home to purchase, 49%. This is what buyers want from an agent, by the way. They help buyers negotiate terms of the sale. Said negotiation is only 13%, but it's still, when you look at the percentages, they want you to do that. Help with the negotiations, 11%. So really, if you put those two together, where you at? 24% have to do with money. So number one is finding the right house. 24% is about money. Help with the paperwork. Some people actually think that hard. And then it goes down from there. I'm going to skip through this because, again, if you're doing the meeting we're talking about and having the meeting where you sit down and go through the houses and whatever else, but I'll just really quick on this. Natural progression to getting the buyer's representation agreement signed. It is now legal. I wrote this just before it became a legal necessity. And most agencies, and I'll be honest, including my own, felt that the buyer representation agreement itself was a waste of time. I never thought the meeting was a waste of time. I've always thought you should do the meeting, but having that signed, because honestly, if somebody wants to quit on you, they're going to quit on you. And even if you put, as we were kidding, but even if you put that you were going to charge a retainer fee, unless you collected it that first day, or there's an early termination fee that you can put on there. Good luck collecting that. When you take them to court for $100, good luck. And even if you win, good luck collecting it. So again, your buyer agreement or your meeting, I'm to the belief nowadays that a 1-page, 2-page, like we have the 4-step buying plan, that kind of talks a little bit about what you do and all these different things and explains the 6-step buying process, probably will do it. There are still people out there that like to have the dog and pony show book, and it works for them. So know yourself. If you do the dog and pony show, if that's what you like, take a picture of this page, and it'll give you all the things that you would put in that book. But if not, again, just have the basics.
Bill,
Mhm.
this question. The 6% is what the sellers usually agree to pay, but we can't ask about that, right? So when we do the buyer's agreement, we put on there 3% for our commission. Can we tell our buyer that it will probably be paid by the seller, or should we?
Yeah, no, you tell them we're going to negotiate that the seller pays it.
Okay.
Now, if you run into a situation and you put 3% and they're only offering 2.5%, and you're like, I'm okay with that. You don't have to charge that extra 3%. And you can tell your client flat out, as long as I'm getting 2.5%, I'm not going to ask you for any money out of that. That will put your seller's mind at ease.
Okay. And so we actually put that in the contract.
In the buyer's agreement.
No, well, yes, but I mean, when we're writing the contract.
Oh, if you're writing well, no, see, before you write the offer, you can call the other agent and say, are you offering a commission split? So let's say they are. Let's just take a quick thing and do this, guys, because this is important. And it really is part of this training. It's just, I wrote this training before this, so it wasn't as big of a thing. Okay. Let's say that I'll make it dramatic. Let's say that they tell you, yes, we're going to offer 1, but it's only going to be, we're offering 1%. And you're like, okay, I'm not working for 1%. So what you can do is write the offer, and at the bottom of the offer, do what's called a seller's concession in additional terms. And in the additional terms, you'll put, that you're offering, let's say, $300,000 on a $290,000 house. I'm just making up numbers, right? So they're offering the house is listed for $290,000. You put in there $295,000. I'll just leave $295,000, and you put seller will contribute 2.5% towards buyer's agent commission. Now that's an offer. Even though they didn't offer anything, or they only offered 1% or whatever it was, you're making an offer. Remember, everything in real estate is negotiable. That's what the whole lawsuit was about. Things weren't negotiable. So if they say no, you call and you say no, they're not offering a buyer's commission. You find the price that would be a fair price, and it might just be the asking price. It might be a little bit extra, but you write in there as part of this offer, they're going to pay you 3%. And that's what they call a seller's concession. Good question. All right. Nobody raised their hand. This is a personal question, huh? The longest amount of time you spent working directly with a buyer before they closed. More than a year. Can you see that's on there? Guys, people waste I teach you guys this. I know a lot of you guys are newer in the business, and so hopefully you've never experienced this. I've seen people spend a year and a half to get a buyer. Guess what? That $10,000 that sounded like a lot of money when they first started working with them. Wait a minute, that's over 18 months. You could have worked at McDonald's and made way more money.
Yeah.
What's the longest amount of time you ever spent working directly with a buyer that didn't end up closing? I had one that was it was either between 6 to 9 to 9 to 12. They were horrible. And they'd go, I got them under contract twice, and then they cold feet out of it. The worst they ever did to me on Christmas Eve, they had me drive an hour and a half to show them property. And I had to drive an hour and a half down to where they were. But I had to drive back the hour and a half, only to come back another hour, which was close to where I showed the house, about a half hour to my parents' house. Yeah, it was a fun Christmas Eve. And they ended up not buying a house for me. Again, see buyers, guys. Don't waste your time with them. So in the end, you want a streamlined, efficient process. You need to get the buyer engaged. All right. So yes, you can give the buyers, you should be sending them listings from your MLS, not from your MLS, I'm sorry, from your website, from your CRM, never from the MLS. Let me be clear on that. You also, however, want to make sure they understand that you know what the shiny pennies are. So when they call you on a property, say, you know, that house is not as nice as the 5 we went to see. Or yes, that house is as nice. Let's go and schedule that. But you want them set up and have it streamlined that they realize that you're the expert on these houses. There might be times where you don't know, and you got to go show them a house that maybe wasn't really a shiny penny because you didn't know. But if you can cut out a good amount of these ones that just aren't going to be shiny pennies, it's going to save you a lot of time. Saves time. Save yourself unnecessary visits to homes that a buyer would rule out. Again, it's all about saving time. What else can you do? We only want to live in Lutz. Okay. So you wouldn't consider Land O'Lakes? All right. We got a bunch of Florida residents here. Can anybody tell me the difference between Lutz and Land O'Lakes? One sells butter and cheese. It has skydiving and a little airport. There's not, right? Wait a second. Can you tell me when you're in Land O'Lakes and not in Lutz and vice versa? In some cases? Where's that line on 54? You drive 54, right?
Yeah.
Where's that line? Now, I know if I'm at the outlets, I'm in Lutz. I know that.
Right.
And I know if I'm at Land O'Lakes Boulevard on one side of the road anyway, I'm in Land O'Lakes, right? But how much in between? What's the difference in the neighborhoods? Same school.
Sure.
No, traffic's bad all over. We're the same. Yeah, it does get worse as you get closer to 275. Yes. But my point being is suggest things like, you know, hey, would you consider, you know, I had people say Pebble Creek. I want to be in Pebble Creek. Okay, but you don't want to be, what's the next one up there off of Bruce B. Downs, right? There's not much of a difference. Oh, I never really considered that. So always think of things that can help you especially in a market where there's not a lot of inventory. Suggest an alternate style that may or may not work for you. You know, I know you said you didn't want a two-story house, but this is going to have all your bedrooms upstairs. So when you entertain, people aren't going looking in and out of your bedroom. Just remember, a buyer that wants to see too many homes is a C buyer. It's as simple as that. And at that point, I'd say farm them out. Or if you want to have a conversation with them that says, hey, we're looking at houses, but obviously, you're not really ready right now. And they're probably going to be honest with you. Say to them, why don't we just do this via you looking them online? And when you're feeling a little bit more like, hey, now I need to do this, that's when we look. Because if not, I don't want to waste your time either. Now, some of these people are hobbyists. What do you mean hobbyists? Their hobbies going and looking at real estate.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're not a hobbyist. You're a professional, and you need to get the hobbyists away from you. I'll offend somebody if I say what I was about to say. So I'll say it anyway. My brother-in-law, it was a professional fireman, and he always called anybody who was a volunteer because they're hobbyists, and he used to refer to them as the Jolly Volleys. And again, I understood. I don't take sides in that because I had family that were volunteers too. My uncle was, and my cousin is. But point being, you see the difference. The Jolly Volley, as my brother-in-law would call them, works a full-time job and whatever else, and this is what they do for fun. He did it for a career.
I don't think I have time.
What's that?
I don't think I have time for fun.
Yep.
I have time for-
So the key is a couple things here. Prior to the showing, always call the listing question. Why? Listing agent. Why? Number one, to find out if it's gone under contract, but also to find out anything that you might not be, on the surface that about the property. It's always a good idea too, because in case you do make an offer, you want to have good relationships with these people. This is one of my favorite things to teach. I know for guys that have taken boot camp, you've already heard this, but I'm glad, it's here again because it's that important. The old Nancy Reagan just say no policy, or the just say yes policy. What does that mean? It's your buyer's time. It's your time. If they see something and they just like, no, I don't want to be there or whatever else. And I told this story before. I found a house in Largo that online looked like it was going to check every box for me. And I loved it because it was going to be 5 minutes from Madeira Beach. When I turned off of whatever the main road was just to get to that neighborhood, I'm like, I'm not living here. And then I turned down the street to that neighborhood and was like, absolutely not. It just wasn't for me. Unfortunately, I had the magnets on my car and the homeowner out in the driveway. So I had to go stop and go through this house that stunk like a cat and my eyes swelled up and whatever else. But had it not been for me, had it been for any other client, that's why I want that client to say, no, I don't like this name. Let's skip it. And I've had this happen many times. And I tell them, if you let them know ahead of time, it's okay. You're not going to offend me. Or to just say yes. We're going to see 5 houses. I'm at house number 2. No, I love, the old Charlie Sheen line in Wall Street. This is it. This is home. They walk in and they just feel that. You're not going to break my heart if we don't go see 3 other houses and we write an offer. Trust me. So have a just say no and a just say yes policy and make sure your clients know that. Monitor words and actions. So I had neighbors that I sold their house in New Jersey. And he was a retired real estate attorney, but she worked for Verizon. So even 10 years ago, she had the latest in all the technology. So you know what their fun thing to do was when there was a showing?
Listen.
There was a corner pub right down the street, Giuliano's, best stromboli I ever had. Anyway, I digress. They would order drinks, set up their iPad, and watch and listen to what everybody said as they went through the house. Warn your clients about this. Also understand that people have cameras outside with microphones too. So when your client goes and says, house is listed for $500,000, I got to tell you, Bill, I'll pay $525 for this place. I love it. But what do you think the lowest is we can get it? And I say to them, we might be able to get you in here for $490, right? And they're listening to the whole thing. Do you think they're going to take a dime less than asking price?
No.
They'd be an idiot too. Right. Because my client, I love this place. I'd pay $525 for it. Tell them to keep their mouths shut and explain. There's cameras, even if you don't see them, there's probably cameras and listening devices everywhere. We can go out afterwards, even after we're done seeing all the houses, someplace away from the properties, and then we can go through all this.
Yeah.
Even questions like the ones I was telling you guys in the other training to stay away from, like square footage and price and whatever else. I tell them stay away from any questions at all, because what do we call those? What would a salesperson call you asking me how much the money was, or how much the payment would be, or how much whatever? It's called a buying question, right? So if you go to a salesperson, salespeople are in a different field. They're trained for people asking buying questions. You know, how loud does this stereo play? You say to the Best Buy guy. That's a buying question because you're thinking about buying it.
Right.
All right. Keep your buyers focused. I don't like the color of the paint. Okay, here's $20. Go to Sherwin-Williams, right?
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that it has 8-foot ceilings. I want 9-foot ceilings. Okay, that's a problem.
Yeah.
The color of the paint's not a problem. I don't like the carpeting. I don't like the this. I don't like the that. There are things you can change.
Yeah.
Look for subtle signs. When buyers discuss where their furniture might go, again, what was I just talking about? Buying question? That's a buying statement.
Yeah.
They're picturing themselves and their furniture in that house. All right. Helping buyers, decide what's their intent. Ask the buyer to share their thoughts. Again, not in the house. Could they see themselves living there? If yes, are they prepared to make an offer? If no, what's it holding you back? Because you can get intel so that if you have to go out again another time to show them houses, you know not to show them houses that are the first house on the block where the traffic's going by and they said there's too many cars going by.
Right.
They want something that's tucked back. Determining the offer. You need to take strong control when making an offer. Okay, what do I mean by that? I mean this. They're all going to want a low ball. Many of them are going to want a low ball. Now, some people aren't, especially when the market was better. Oh my God, we have to go over asking. We don't care. Like the guy was saying, I'll give him 525. I don't care. I want this house, right? But a lot of people, they want to take control when it does this. What you want to do is have the MLS and make this a simple math question. As we're going to talk about, as we talk about in our, and I don't know that anybody that's sitting in here is taking this class, but some of you guys online might be, we have the pricing conversation class. And the first thing we teach you when you're talking to somebody about pricing a house is stop the emotions and making it a math equation. Well, it's a math equation here. If I'm buying a house, if my client wants to buy a house in Clearwater, and right now, the average house in Clearwater is selling for 98% of list price, what does that mean? That means for every $100,000 that the house is listed, so if it's $500,000, $2,000 per, I should expect that house to sell for $490. So what would be a reasonable offer for me to tell my clients to go in at? $485? Well, no, $490, because then they might not do quite as well. We expect it to close at $490.
Oh.
So my first offer going in, I might tell them to go $485. Right? Because we're going to negotiate. We're going to end up, we should expect to end up at $490. If you give them this number before they start popping out, oh, let's give them $425, because just what some of these idiots will do, right? Which is totally not in the ballpark. If you go in and teach ahead of time, this is how an offer, what an offer should look like and what we should expect based upon math, right? Based upon what's happening in the market. Now, all of a sudden, oh, okay, yeah, 425, that's crazy. Now, you will always get your person, well, maybe, can we just try for the 425? And say, do you like the house or not? Because most people, when they get insulted like that, say, I'm not dealing with that guy. And they walk away from you. Some people don't care, and they still want you to do it. And guess what? At the end of the day, you're supposed to follow the directive of our clients, right? You guys learned that in real estate school. But do everything you can to educate them ahead of time so they don't make those stupid things. What are other important things to take into consideration? Closing date. Well, I don't want to close for 3 months. Well, guess what? That seller might be wanting to close on a house in a month.
Right.
That might get you there. Non-real estate items. You know, oh, I want them to throw in the furniture. They don't want to throw in the furniture. I've had that happen. You should kind of have an idea of repairs needed, but you don't need to really do that until the home inspection. Appraisal and inspections, and then closing costs. So again, know the market. In 2020, I think I told you guys this story. We put an offer on a house at Apollo Beach, and I went $65,000 over asking price. I was doing it with an 800 credit score and 30% down. I got outbid. Mm-hmm. They were cash, and they outbid me. I knew I had to go high. Evidently not that. I wasn't comfortable going any higher. I mean, that was, so yeah. And trust me, again, thank God I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm so much happier where I am now. But point being, you got to know, and you got to explain it to your client ahead of time. Like I said, right now, depending on where you are in Florida, we're about 97, 98% of what the ask price is. So if it's a $100,000 house, it's 97 to 98,000, right? It's easy math. Knowing that number and explaining that number, and trust me, it was hard. I had agents that struggled, and we taught these. I taught this. I wasn't teaching this particular class, but I was teaching this concept. Clients didn't want to hear the fact that the house is listed for 400,000. If I want to get it, I got to list 425. It was baffling to them. Well, they still want to list 385.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, don't you understand what's going on? In 5 hours, this house will be on the market. There's going to be 40 offers on it, and you had to explain it. So it's important that you're able to explain when to go high, when to go low, and all those types of things. 3 things, of course, can happen. Seller accepts. That's my favorite. One offer and they accept it. It does happen, guys. I've had it happen a lot, actually. Of course, I always educate my clients about the right price to go in. So, seller counters. Seller rejects. The seller rejecting, and I'm going to talk about listings because we know we work with sellers, we play with buyers, and that's more important for you guys, is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. I tell my clients, and but all the clients want to do it. Somebody comes in with a lowball offer. I'm not working with them. I'm like, wait a minute. People are going to try and take it's like taking a blind shot when you go to war, from your battleship. You don't know what you're going to hit. You're just taking a shot out there and whatever else and hope you get lucky, right? People are hoping that they maybe find somebody desperate, this, that, whatever. What does it hurt if I have a house that's listed for 500,000 and somebody comes in and lowballs me at 450? To go back to them and say no, but I'll counter offer at 499. What's that hurt me? It shows I'm serious about my price. Now that guy makes a decision. Is this house worth 495, or he could probably get me to, or 490, 490, 495, or is it not? And he walks away, but at least I took the shot to find the seller.
Yeah.
So people get, I'm not working with that guy. So there are the 3 things that can happen. They accept, they counter, they reject. Warning your buyer that many people will reject, and that if they really like the house, they might be totally screwing themselves out of it because they won't talk to them anymore, can help you from getting away from somebody's what I like to call lowball Larry. All right. So again, you guys are newer, so, but this course is at an advanced level. But I want you to be honest with yourself. On a scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate your skills at navigating contract to close? Some of you haven't even had contract to close yet, so it's hard for you to do. But I want to go through this anyway, because what I want to say to you is I want you to be aware of it. Be aware that you can learn, that you're learning these things, and that you know these things before you get in here, so you can navigate your client smoothly through the contract to close process. People always joke about for sale by owners. They don't understand. A buyer finding a seller is the easy part of our job. It's contract to close where the work is.
Yeah.
Where do contracts fall apart? Contract to close. So making sure you guys understand this process and whatever else. And of course, I'm here for you guys. So when you go through this, we'll go through it, we'll step by step, we'll go through it together. the first couple times, and then you'll start to feel better about it. But the more you guys understand about it, the more confidently you're going to go in, especially, for some of you guys that are newer doing this the first time. When issues come up in a contract close phase, I communicate my actions to resolve them with my buyer. Always communicate, and always communicate anything that can possibly happen ahead of time. That is so important. And I'm going to give an example. Let's say that you have a seller. We're not a buyer right now, but we're going to use a seller because I think it's going to give you a better example. But this works for both buyers and sellers. And your seller says to you, I'm going to list the house for $500,000. I have to sell it for $495 because that will, after everything's paid, give me the exact amount of money that I need to be able to buy my new house. And so they do this math. And you don't explain to them that during the home inspection, somebody might come back and ask for a $5,000 credit because the air conditioner is 10 years old. You don't explain that. So now somebody comes with an offer and they back and forth, and the seller, it's my bottom line, but okay, I'll do it for $495. You're now 7 days in to them doing everything for their new house, excited, whatever else. And now that buyer comes back with the buyer's report and says, yeah, we want a $5,000 credit. Why didn't you tell me? I would have not taken an offer for less than $500,000, knowing if I needed to have something in there, but I didn't know they could still take money out. Whose fault is it? They're going to have a finger in your face. Whereas in the beginning, if you explained how that process worked and what could potentially happen, they're not going to be happy about it,
Right.
but they know about it. And this is true with buyers and sellers, overly communicating effectively from the beginning. Appraisals are another one. The house doesn't appraise. Just went through this with Rosemary. They had a buyer in this house that was willing to pay like $500,000. The house appraised for $466. She had to go back to the seller and they sold it for $466. But these are things that can happen and will happen. And if you let people know ahead of time, no, they're not going to be thrilled about it. But they're not going to be. They might still try to blame you, but they really can't blame you. What's the end game? A happy buyer and closed business. Guys, communicate. We just went through all that. Schedule and set up calendar reminders of all the deadlines on the contract. Very, very important. Over communicate with every vendor who are vendors. Your mortgage company. If you happen to be the seller, we're talking about buyers today, but if you happen to be the seller, you should still get to know the buyer's mortgage person. If you're the buyer, you should still get to know the title company person, even though it's not you that selected them. Get to know everybody in the conversation. Tell them you're there. Tell them I'm here to help you through this. Build partnerships with them. The over communicating and making sure you have all the deadlines handled and whatever else ahead of time will make it smooth. If you play which most realtors do, at the seat of your pants, and wait a minute, what's today's date? Today's the 20th. Today's the 21st, isn't it? 20, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Today's the 19th, and the mortgage commitment's due on the 21st. Oh my God! When I call the mortgage person, they're not going to get it done in 2 days. And now I'm out of contract.
Yeah.
These are things people don't think about.
And then
Will it break your deal? Maybe, maybe not. Can it break your deal?
Okay.
Seller might just be looking for a way out. And now that you don't have the mortgage commitment in their hand on the 21st, they cancel the deal. And now your buyer's sitting there with no place to live and oh my God, and you're frantic. Over communicate ahead of time.
Question that you're talking, reminded me of, when you say vendors for acting as the buyer's agent, is it okay to give them a list of, inspectors, home inspection companies, even though as long as I make it clear, I'm not saying that these people are.
I'm going to give you some words that are
guaranteeing.
I don't have a law degree. I did take business law in my MBA. but I'm gonna sound like a lawyer right now. Same thing with mortgage. And even Cheryl, who's same company and whatever else. Here are 2 or 3 or whatever you have home inspectors that I've had clients use successfully in the past.
That's it.
I didn't say anything.
Good, okay.
I don't have Bettina. Bettina's not on today. Bettina lost 3 sales over recommending a mortgage person. She had somebody who was buying 4 properties. They were friends with her. She worked with them. She was a school teacher. And I had said to her, don't ever say recommend. But she evidently not only recommended, but strongly urged. And the mortgage person screwed up. And it wasn't a mortgage person that would ever normally screw up, but they did. They wanted to talk to me as the broker, which they did. And yeah, she probably lost $50,000 in commission because she recommended. Yeah, when you see her again, ask her the story. Yeah, just be nice about it. But yeah, no, she'll tell you. She'd be happy to make sure that nobody else had this happen to them.
Yeah.
And that's the line. Here's 3 mortgage people that I've had clients work successfully with in the past. I didn't endorse them.
Oh, yeah, you just.
I didn't endorse them. Yeah,
Yeah.
my clients might.
You know,
I didn't.
Success.
My clients have worked successfully with in the past. Same thing with home inspectors. I feel, although this is a dumb statement, I shouldn't say it. I feel more confident with a home inspector because there's less that can go wrong, but there are things that can go wrong, and that could be a disaster too. So you're better off doing that with everybody.
Cause I wanna be a resource, but I don't
Yep.
want to.
Yep. Negotiating repairs. In fact, I would have a list of all the different things of all of that on there and have it on there. Here's a list of people that my clients, and now you have it in writing that you gave it to them with that. And you get your mortgage people here, you've got your title people here, you've got your home inspection people here. Yeah. Okay.
What about as far as like, somebody needs repairs, can you put that on that list too? Like say, hey, they need new garbage disposal, and you can put a plumber on there.
Look at that. Look at your timing. Going through pre-inspection and inspection stuff. Very good question. So when there's a home inspection for a buyer, you need to be there. Is that the law? No. Is it a rule? No. It's the truth though. You're going to lose 4 hours, 5 hours of a day. Make sure you have a good game on your phone. If it's non-furnished house, take a lawn chair. Because all you are is, you don't do anything. They're doing all the work, but you're just there. And in Florida, half the time your client will be with you, half the time, even sometimes more than half the time, your client's going to be in another state. They're not going to be there for the home inspection, but you should be there. And again, it's a complete waste of your time as far as from a time management standpoint, but you need to be there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to get this report and you're going to go through it with your client. And that's, to answer your question, that's where you're going to find out what you're going to ask. One thing with this is you want to make sure that your client is realistic. You're buying a house that was built in 1968. Not everything's going to be brand new and perfect and whatever else. You're buying a house that the kitchen has not been updated, but we're getting it for a price that reflects that the kitchen was not updated. We deal with certain things.
Right.
But from there you can, you write your repair list and send it in.
But can you put that, like she was saying, as far as like a vendor's list, you don't recommend them, but you have a plumber, an electrician, something like that.
Oh, you mean service people for outside the sale?
Right. So-
Yeah, so I'm a total hypocrite when we're going to talk about this. Yes, one of the things I've taught you guys about creating that kind of cartel of people that they'll recommend you, you recommend me.
Right.
I absolutely do that. Again, that's outside of the sale, so that's post-sale. Yes, this is a plumber I would tell you to use. Yes, this is an electrician, I know.
Always.
Yes, this is an air conditioning person, yeah.
But not to somebody for, like, say you're representing, the seller and, they have
Oh, yeah, I've done it with I've done it with a seller.
You know what I mean? They need a
So,
simple repair.
my
Ceiling fan, for example.
My friend Laura,
Just the
yeah,
electricity.
my friend Laura, well, this is a big one. My friend Laura, I sold her house for, and insurance came back that her roof was too old. She had to put a new roof on. Well, you want to talk about a kick in the teeth? You know, $15,000 that you were expecting to take to help move in your new house, blah, 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 blah. I know, I don't remember what it was, but yeah, just throw it. You're right, probably 20,000.
I just paid 33,000.
I have a roofing company that will put a new roof on and not take a dime from you except out of the closing proceeds.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, Steve, he's not here today. Steve Fortunato, that's one of our agents that he's in this class with you guys. He's been doing a lot of stuff online, but Steve, for his own house, I got him that guy. So yes, you can for those types of things. But when you're talking about the sale stuff, like a home inspector, or more importantly, a mortgage broker or whatever else, give it the way I said.
Right.
The other ones, the plumber, the this, the that, you know, you have a very strong conversation with them. You know, I'm going to recommend you for everybody that needs a plumber. However, it's my name going on your work. Just like when you recommend somebody to have them help buy or sell a house, it's your name on my work.
Right.
Let's make sure, whatever. And you gotta know how to screen. All right, safeguarding against a low appraisal. Again, sometimes appraisers don't always understand everything in a market, and they're the professionals at pricing a house. But many times they will get in touch with you. You cannot reach out to them. They just, that's why we can't pick them. Somebody said, "Oh, who do you use for an appraiser?" I'm like, "I don't know any appraisers." Well, how do you not know any appraisers? Because I can't pick appraisers. The bank does it.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and then it makes sense after you said it. I've had many agents like, "Yo, can you, Rosemary, can you give me an appraiser?" I'm like, "No." Huh? I'm like, "No, I don't know any." And that's why. But many times, good appraisers are going to call you and ask you how you came up with the number. They usually do it to a listing agent, but they will do it to the buyer's agent sometimes too. One of the things you want to share your comps of how you came up with it, either buyer or seller. And the second thing is make sure you point out, yeah, I know, but did you know that that house was a short sale, not a regular sale? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, I'll throw that one out. Or that one was, you know, whatever. I skipped over, but it had negotiate, you know, how to negotiate those things. Usually the only thing about negotiating on that is the only way you're going to sell your house, like the one we just went through, is for the appraisal price. You're not going to sell it, you know, you're either going to take it off the market and wait till it comes up in price or take the price that's there. What about a cash buyer? Have you ever known a cash buyer to ever pay cash for something that's worth less than what they pay cash for? Ever? It's why they have $600,000 in their pocket. Happy buyer and close business. So again, make sure you confirm financing. Have a checklist. Have they gotten all the things to your mortgage company? You don't have to learn all this stuff. These are questions that you're going to work with the mortgage company. Make sure you're working with, again, all of your vendors, guys, as we were just talking about. And if you're working with a buyer, the biggest person is that mortgage person. These people are excited to buy a house, but they're not excited to go find their W-2s or their 1099s or their tax returns or whatever document, whatever, and they drag their feet and whatever else. And you have to remember that there is a date. If that date was January 21st and today's January 19th, I'm too late to try to get them chasing around now. So you got to be on top of it from the beginning. Okay, 2 weeks before closing, verify and schedule the closing. We don't do that, the title company does, but follow up with them. Hey, any idea what date, you know, are we on track? Well, usually what they're going to say is, well, we got to get clear to close to the mortgage company. But at least now you're on top of these things. Make sure, a couple other things, your buyer doesn't do something stupid. Okay, so the 21st comes, guess what you did? You got the mortgage commitment. It came through, and we're going to close in 1 week. Oh, cool. Hey, honey, guess what? We got our mortgage commitment. Let's get out of Rooms to Go and buy $10,000 $1,000 worth of furniture on our credit card. Won't matter now. Really? I tell this story. I bought my house in October of 2008. I had a new construction. It was right after everything was so great and the mortgage crisis was about to happen. Again, A1A credit, tons of, my ex-wife and I were hitting it hard, especially for a house. We weren't buying a house. It was a new construction. It was cheap. We're moving out, back where I grew up and everything's cheap down there. I went to New York City to have a meeting with what's now United Healthcare. And I realized that I had forgotten my belt and necktie. Somehow didn't put them in my bag. I'm up in White Plains. So, shoot, what am I gonna do? There's a Macy's. So I went into the Macy's and I put I don't know, $50 on my Macy's card.
Oh, there's that one.
Went to my meeting. It was went to my meeting. Came out and we were having lunch at the Cheesecake Factory. I get a frantic phone call from my mortgage person. Hey, we just saw that you incurred a new debt. This is a couple days before closing, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, incurred a new debt? What are you talking about? Oh, we just saw there was a charge on Macy's. Da, 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 da. I'm like, I'm in New York. I forgot my necktie and my belt and I had to buy them, blah, blah. Is this a debt that you plan on continuing to incur? I'm like, no, and if you'd like, I'll pay it off right now. Please do, because we got whatever. And I had to pay it. Now, again, that was a dramatic time because that was when the banks crashed.
Yeah.
My point, though, and I always tell that story, is people will go buy sofas or refrigerators and all the things they need. You're going to be screwed.
Yeah.
Okay? So tell them ahead of time not to do those things. Other one, wire fraud. Wire fraud is rampant and they're good. So all of a sudden, your client gets an email that looks completely legit from the title company. It says, we need your information, we need your bank info for the wire. They send this email, it looks totally legit. They fill it out, send it back, and title guy I know in Florida talked about somebody that lost over $1 million. Second that button's pushed, guess what? That money's gone. There is no wire, there is no fraud, there is no lifeline, there is no anything. It was gone. Second thing, they'll call you. Hi, this is Brian Bortner calling you from Title EQ. It's not Brian. Chances are they're going to have a weird accent because they're usually from wherever, right? Yeah, or Russia. Yeah. But either way, you don't know Brian Bortner, right? Because you and I know him, but
Right.
I just need to get your stuff and we're going to get your wire taken care of. You need to tell your clients, guys, if you ever get an email from me, you will see at the bottom, and I would tell you to copy and paste this. I had this written by a girl who was my title agent for a lot of years, Megan Pravat, about wire fraud, and it's a warning, and it goes at the bottom of all my emails. It's in my signature. You need to tell your clients that if they are called or this or that or whatever, to call you immediately. And what you will do with them is call Brian. So you darn well know it's Brian on the phone. And the way they normally do it is they'll give you half one way of the account and the rest of the digits another way. So it's extremely safe. But they are never, ever, ever to give that information anywhere and tell them it's going to seem so real. These fraud guys, I was fooled on a Stewart one once. It didn't. I'm smart enough to send it to my. I was smart enough to send it to my IT team, but the IT guy came back and said, "No, that's fake." I said, "Man, yeah, had I passed that along to my client, I'd have been totally fooled." That's it. They're good. It happens.
Over here.
Okay. Week of closing. Schedule and attend the final walkthrough. Have them sign that everything's good. Make sure they have all their money lined up with the title company. If they're wiring it in, whatever, that's all done, of course, what we just talked about. Make sure they have whatever type of ID that they're going to request them to have with them. Usually it's a driver's license or a passport they can use. I always use my passport. It works easier. You do the final walkthrough the morning before, the night before, and make sure you're at the closing. Again, times have changed. Closings aren't what they used to be. Like I said, I did one on somebody's workbench in his garage. Ask your clients for referrals. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we're up against it. Ask your clients for referrals, guys. People forget. They feel bashful about it. If you did a good job, be proud you did a good job and say, hey, if you ever have anybody, hand them a stack full of business cards. Take them a gift. Get gifts. My favorite gift, by the way, is it Cutco? Is that the name of the knife company?
I was gonna say free round golf.
Yeah. Oh, I can always do that. It depends if they golf or not. Yeah, same thing, like, you get them like a wine basket, you can do that too. But here's what I've learned about the Cutco knives. They last for a lifetime and they're engraved with your information on it.
Hmm.
I have a friend, believe it or not, her name is Silly. I'll get her to come out here and she can go through the dog and pony show about the knives. But they make for a very nice gift. And again, they have a lifetime warranty. I didn't realize how good Cutco knives were until she gave me some and whatever else. And then I realized I had a set of them that looked like whatever. They're 15 years old and they work like they're brand new. They're very good quality knives. And then again, it's very inexpensive for a closing gift. So, but come up with what you want to do and do it. How many referrals have you gotten from your buyers? It's a question you should be asking yourself. That answer in a year should be, you should get at least 2. How's your client for life plan? What is your plan? So, okay, great. You're going to have your first client. What's your plan to stay in touch with them? You need to have one. Client for life, guys. Here you go. This is what I was talking about earlier. I did pretty well with the numbers. I said 88%, but I knew 12%. 89% of buyers and 85% of sellers said they would definitely or probably use the agent again. But only 12% of buyers and 27% of sellers used the same agent. Why? Because you didn't keep in touch with them. 38% of buyers, 36% of sellers found their agent through a referral or a friend, neighbor, or relative. Now, there's other statistics that actually say closer to 50%, but there you go. Well, that's true. That's no, because that's sphere of influence. This is referral from a client, from a past client. So easy. You guys have scripts on this? Just call. How you doing? How's the new house? How's this? How's that? If you or anybody you know is a real estate name, please would you have them call me. That's all you have to do. It's my 3-3 rule, just a little bit different. You can also ask throughout a transaction. Hey, you ever have anybody else that needs a realtor? People do all the time. It's a monkey see, monkey do world. You're moving, my friend's moving. Closing is an awesome time to ask for referrals. I also find that 2 weeks after closing is another time to ask for referrals once they've gotten settled. And you should be going to check on them. Hey, is everything good? Do you need anything? Again, you need that list because you need an electrician because whatever it is. Here's one way to do it. You do the pop by a week after with the thank you note or a gift. 14 days after, 2 weeks after, you give them a call. You text them, you email them. I like doing another pop-up. Just pop in like 60 or 90 days. Nobody does it. They love it. Let others do the talking. Ask for online reviews. Use client testimonials. We have the best program that's already in place that was going to send them. It's called Real Satisfied. And you can pop those all on your thing. If you go into 21 online and put in Real Satisfied, you can get all the info on it. What is your plan moving forward? What do you guys need to get better at this? Challenge yourself that you're going to take what we learned today and put it into your buyer program. For you guys that are newer that are taking this, you don't have bad habits, so you're in a good spot. You know to follow up. You know how important it is that nobody asks for referrals. You don't have 20 years of clients that you've never stayed in touch with that you're like kicking yourself in the head. So do the right things from ahead of time. Any questions on it? I'm going to stop our live stream and then I'm going to ask in class if we have any questions.